Welcome everyone to the channel. This is Malki Assad, and today we're discussing the value of post-interview communication with Dr. Madhu Vennikandam. Welcome, Dr. Madhu, to the channel.
Thank you, Dr. Assad, for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I'm currently doing my Advanced Transplant Hepatology Fellowship at Columbia University here in New York, and I will be starting my GI Fellowship at Michigan State starting this July.
That's awesome. So I want to start by asking you about your thoughts and your opinion about post-interview communication.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it comes over and over again. A lot of students and resident applicants ask this to me. Post-interview communication, I would say, a double-edged sword. You have to be. It's something that can help you if you do it the right way, but overdoing it can in fact hurt you. So, for instance, when you interview for places, the first thing I would say is look at their website because some programs specifically tell you that they don't encourage post interview communication. So, I would say know your programs that you're interviewing very, very well. If they prohibit you from communicating, do not communicate. And those are the situations that can hurt you. However, if they don't mention that in their website and when you're interviewing, they give you the contacts of their attendings that interview you, that is a sign that if you want to communicate, you can communicate. So those are the situations where I would say post-interview communication can be beneficial.
That's a great point. You mentioned that if they clearly mention that you should not do it, don't do it. For example, in plastic surgery, we have a policy across all programs that prohibit post-interview communication. So just follow the rules, and if they did not mention anything against that, you can go ahead and do it. And that brings me to
Exactly.
my next question. How do you think applicants should do the post-interview communication? What is the best style of doing it?
So I think the best style of doing post-interview communication is a personalized approach because you have to understand that all these attendings are very experienced in interviewing candidates. So the moment they see a fixed template or a generic response, they can know within seconds that this is probably the email or letter that you'll be sending to several other programs. So I would say limit your post-interview communication to specific programs that you are really, really interested in. For instance, you interview for a program in internal medicine or in gastroenterology, I can say there's a program, I'm doing transplant right now. So if there's a program that specifically does advanced procedures for cirrhotics or have a lot of NAFLD or fatty liver population and research that I'm interested in, or attendings that do the research that I'm interested in, I can specifically tailor my letter telling that I'm interested in your program because I find that you have a big liver population, and I would, if I get into your program, these are the things that I would like to pursue. So, sort of a personalized approach. So, when they read it, they know that this is what your intent is, and this is what you would be pursuing in addition to your regular training that you would be doing as a resident.
That's a great point. So, what other points you can mention in that email other than your interest in the specific program?
So I think the main points that we have to keep in mind in doing post-interview communication is the first thing is to remember your interview encounter very, very well. And I emphasize that because when you have many interviews, you can forget how each encounter went if you don't take notes. So after each interview is done, you have to jot down on a pen and paper or a tablet what you loved best about the program and how each encounter went. So that once all your interviews are done, you can go back and look at your notes and see specifically what excited you about the interview. So that'll be your first point. And in line to that will be your next point that if you were to be accepted to that program, what are the things that you would be interested in doing? And is there any specific attending whose interest piqued curiosity in you, and would you like to work with somebody in particular? So those specifics are very important because when you write a letter like that, it makes a difference than just writing, I'm very interested in your program, kindly consider me. So that generic letter is very different from the specific approach. So I would say, it's really a hit or miss in terms of how well the post interview letter works out. But if you were to do a specific, personalized approach in your letter writing, you never know. That could be the letter that would catch the attention of the program. So I would say always go with a personalized approach.
That's a great point. And how important do you think it is? Does it help you in matching? Does it hurt if you don't send a letter? If they didn't specify they prohibit, is it bad if you don't send one? Does it help you to match? I know programs vary based on what how they approach this, but what do you think is the general view on the post-interview communication?
So this is a very interesting and tricky question because there's no single rule that can describe how well your letter will affect your outcome. What I do know is that if a program explicitly says that don't communicate, you should not, because if you try to do that, that can come off as annoying, and that is not the type of candidate they want to hire. However, if the program has no prohibition in sending communication, in terms of how much it helps, it's a little tricky because it'll help. There are two things to say whether it'll help. If the program really, really likes you, and at the same time you send a personalized letter to them, that's a win-win. So then they would probably have a confirmation in their mind that, okay, this candidate has very specific goals, and if the candidate were to be hired in our program, these are the things that this candidate will bring to the table. So it is a match between what value they see in you versus what you portray to them through your letter. So if that coincides, that can help you. And on the other hand, let's say a lot of people might say, oh, I'll be ranking your program high. They will use this word high. As much as nice it sounds, sometimes those kind of letters can hurt you because when you say high, that doesn't mean it's number one. So the programs will get the sense that, oh, you're not probably ranking them as their top choice, but you're one of the choices. So I would say refrain from using words like ranking as one of the top or ranking as high. Words like that, I would say to avoid.
And do you recommend telling the programs that you're ranking them number one? And I know you should only use that for one program. Should
Yes.
you include that in your letter of interest?
So, well, one point that you said absolutely is you can only do that for one program. And that is very, very important because, as you know, the medical community is very small and people meet each other in conferences. So, never ever tell more than one program that you're going to rank the number one. And that is a big no-no because by any chance they happen to find that, it just shows that you're distrustful and it's not loyal to whatever you're committing to. So that's a big red flag. However, if there's one particular program that you're very, very interested in, you can definitely, it doesn't hurt. You can definitely tell them that you are my most favorite program or you will be ranking them number one. But you have to tell why, because just by telling you're going to rank the number one will not make much of a difference. But if you mention the reasons, I think it is okay. However, if you don't want to commit and tell them that you're going to rank the number one, that is also fine because I don't think telling some program that you're going to be their number one choice would make much of a difference in terms of whether or not they're going to hire you.
Awesome. And you think it's better to stay away from you're one of my top choices, you're ranked high, because it can convey the meaning that you're not my number one choice.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, I would say absolutely it to refrain from using words like that because that would just give them the notion that those programs are not the number one and one of the high, which can mean anything because they don't know how many programs you interviewed. So if you, let's say, have 20 programs, you could be anywhere in the top 10. But if you have, let's say, 10 programs that you're interviewing, you could be in the top five. So it's very relative. And I would say refrain from using words like one of the top or high, which can actually hurt you than
And
help you.
I totally agree with you, but I want to mention to our viewers that this is our personal opinions. People vary in how
Sure.
they approach this. So listen to as much advice as you can and then take your own informed decision.
Absolutely. This is just based on what I have seen through my journey in my peers and also in my personal experience. However, different people have different stories. So I would say just give it a thought, sit down and think and make your personal decisions. That being said, one of the key points that I would like to emphasize whenever you are thinking of writing a post interview communication, the best way to get the best outcome out of it is trying to imagine yourself as a program director. If you were the head of a program trying to hire a group of smart residents, and if you get a letter like that, would you hire that person or not? Or what would you think? Think from the psyche on the other side, and you will automatically figure out uh, what you can communicate in an effective way.
This is a perfect point. I totally agree with you. If you put yourself in their shoes and you got that email, would you make a difference in your decision based on that? That can help you decide if this is a good email to send or not. Now, after we discuss the post-interview communication from the applicant side, let's say now if the applicant received post-interview communication with the program, how should the applicant react to that or respond to these kind of emails?
Yeah, that is another excellent question because sometimes programs will send you post-interview follow-ups, especially now that during the times of COVID, some of the programs do that. Now, there are a couple of reasons why programs might do that. Sometimes it is just mainly a courtesy response that programs naturally send applicants as a polite way of telling thank you for interviewing with us. The other reason sometimes with newer programs might be because at the end, when you do the rank order list, there should be X number of people who should have ranked you in order to have all your spots filled. So sometimes programs can also send you emails based on that. And rarely, if programs really like you and really want you there, they will send you a specific personalized email telling how much they like you. Is that very common? No, but I do know 2 or 3 friends who have received specific email like that. However, in those emails, never even once the program would tell you whether they're going to rank you or not. They would just tell these are the things that we have, and we really liked XYZ about you when you interviewed. So when they send you something like that, I would say you have to respond. I mean, it's a polite way to just respond and acknowledge their response. But as I said before, you should try to keep it neutral again. You can be, the way you respond would be you should be grateful and thankful, but at the same time, not sounding too desperate because that can also backfire. So again, like I said, these are all my personal opinions. Try to see what is the program that's emailing you, and if that's the program that you really want to go to, you can send a personalized response. If not, you can just send an acknowledgement and thank them for reaching out.
And should an applicant change the ranking of the programs based on the emails they receive from the programs?
Well, so when you think about your rank order list, I think your decisions should be based on where you want to go, because at the end of the day, it's your ambition and what goals that you have to achieve. And you have to be at a place that will let you achieve your goals. So I think when you do your rank order list, rank them based on where you want to go rather than who emails you. Because let's say the program that emails you is not really the program that is one of your top choices or where you want to go. So if you change your rank order list, and you might miss an opportunity on ending up at a place where you really had a chance and you never knew. So I would say rank your programs based on where you want to end up rather than who communicates with you.
That's a great point. Dr. Madhu, do you have any final thoughts on the topic of post-interview communication?
Well, the final thought is that, even if programs don't reach out to you and reach out to some other candidate, that does not entirely means they're not going to rank you. It's a very complex process where all attending sit together and make their joint decisions. The other thing is if you send one email and they don't respond to you, that doesn't mean they did not see your email. Sometimes they might have policies that prevent them from responding, or they may have too many emails. But if you don't get a response, don't hammer email them. That can also hurt you. So I would say one letter expressing your interest would be fine. And just trust the process and be confident and enjoy the whole process and stay positive and rank wherever you want to end up.
These were really insightful thoughts into post-interview communication. Thank you so much, Dr. Madhu, for your time.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for having me.
For our viewers,
it was such a great pleasure. I've been watching your videos and you're doing such a great job during the time of this pandemic. And I think a lot of applicants find your videos very helpful. And I've been sharing it to some of my medical students as well. So thank you for doing all this and having me. It was indeed a pleasure doing this interview with you.
Thank you so much. And for our viewers, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Malki Assad. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and see you in future videos.